Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today we are doing our game week 1 team reveal. So we are just a few hours away from the deadline. We are finally nearly back with Premier League football, and I'm filming this on Wednesday, so I am actually 2 days before the deadline, but this is the longest I've gone without changing my team. This is the happiest I've been with my team all pre-season, and this team is subject to change. This might not be the final team. But as for now, this is the team that I look most likely to go into game week 1 with. So let's get started. And if you want to join my FPL League for YouTube, the league code will be in the description and it will be in the graphic for this video throughout. Type in the code, join the league and have some fun. Make sure to subscribe for more content through the season. Like the video and leave down in the comments what you thought of my team. But let's get into the team. So then, here is the backline and the keeper. Starting in goal, Dean Henderson. So I've chopped and changed a few times. I've gone with Flecken, I've gone with Sells, I've gone with Raya. Pickford was in there a few times, but I'm liking the Palace defence. It was one of the better defences in the league last season. Henderson looked at quality in goal under Glasner when Johnston was out with an injury. Henderson does look like the man who's going to nail down that number 1 spot, with Johnston potentially looking for a move away from Palace. And yeah, it could change. I have been trying to find a way to potentially get David Raya in because of the no Arsenal defence. But we'll see for now. But at the minute, Henderson has been in here for a while now. He hasn't left my team. So him and Valdemarson are my 2 keepers. Valdemarson on the bench. So yeah, Valdemarson is number 2 for Brentford, and I thought anything happens to Flecken and I've got a starting goalkeeper there for 4 million, and a lot of the other 4 million seem to be third choice. So I'm happy with Valdemarson. As for the defence, Trent speaks for himself at 7 million. He is probably the defender in here that I'm likely to downgrade if I was, because downgrading Trent to a Gavardiol upgrades Munoz to a Gabriel, and do I prefer Trent and Munoz or do I prefer Gabriel and Gavardiol? I think for the early fixtures I'm going to leave it as it is, but definitely looking at Gavardiol and Gabriel over Trent and Munoz after a wild card. As for Jarell Quansah, I had him a few weeks ago, and then some people were like against him, thinking that he wasn't a great pick, so it made me overthink and take him out. But then I put him back in, and now I'm seeing more and more people hype about this guy, and I thought, that's good because I was in there early. I've had Quansah for a while now. 4.5 million, cheapest way into the Liverpool defence. Looks like he's at least going to start the first few fixtures, especially while Konate, he didn't have much of a feature in pre-season. And if Quansah's ever dropped from the Liverpool squad, we have got Robinson and Barco on the bench. That can cover that up until the wild card, where we can wild card them out. And then Munoz, I feel, is just 0.5 million cheaper than Pedro Porro and is more or less a very similar type of player. Munoz gets very far forward, same as Pedro Porro does. And if you're looking based off last season, Palace actually probably have a better defensive record than Tottenham. So you're potentially looking at more clean sheet points from Munoz with similar attacking returns to Pedro Porro. But we'll see. I like Munoz. I like him as an option at 5 million. It's definitely one of the better 5 million options. He's better than Branthwaite, Tarkowski. I'm not sure if Everton will keep up the same defensive record that they had last season after losing Onana. Losing Onana is a big one to lose, especially to your defensive shape. And that's why I haven't gone with Mykolenko or Pickford. I like Munoz. So as for the midfielders then, no Salah. I have had Salah a few times, but I've decided to go against Mo Salah. I've gone with Saka, Bruno, Jota, Eze and Smith Rowe. Now, knowing Kunku, who I've had for more or less the entirety of pre-season, and the closer we get to the deadline, he's finally out of my team. I think the Man City fixture game week 1 is the thing that's putting me off, even though he has promising fixtures after that. But I want to get off to a strong start, especially with an idea of a potential game week 5 or 6 wildcard, to maybe change the shape, get some more Chelsea players in there, because Chelsea's fixtures are pretty good, from like 3 to 8, I think. But Yeah, I mean, Smith Rowe at 5.5 is probably my favourite, cheaper option. Obviously, thoughts going through my head about Oscar Bob, Morgan Rogers, Jacob Murphy, Hudson Odoi, Alanga. But I think Smith Rowe's probably got the most nailed on chance of starting every single game because he's Fulham's record signing. He's going to go into Fulham's team as one of their better players. And 2 goals in 2 games he scored in pre-season. First one was off the bench, second one I'm pretty sure he started. He looks very advanced, more advanced than Andreas, who's another 5.5 option. Smith Rowe could always take corners off of Andreas, could always take free kicks off of Andreas. Not sure about penalties, but I like the idea of Smith Rowe. After that Man United game, they've got good fixtures. I'm pretty sure they play Leicester and Southampton back-to-back, or Leicester and Ipswich. Eze's on penalties, free kicks, corners, is going to be Palace's main threat from attacks. 7 million is a good price point for Eze. I think he's one of the most popular midfielders in the game right now. He speaks for himself. He has to take over all basically attacking creativity from Elise leaving. So Eze is definitely one to look out for. Jota is me hoping that he takes points off of Salah for scoring goals and assisting goals. Jota has looked promising in pre-season. He could potentially be playing as the number 9 or off the left, depending on whether he favours Darwin Núñez. But I like Jota. He's very clinical. In terms of his stats per 90, he's one of the best finishers in the league. One of the highest point scorers per 90. It's just his injury record and his worry about how many minutes he gets. He is a player that could be subbed off after 60 minutes, which isn't great. But in those 60 minutes, I back him more than a lot of players to score goals in that first 60 minutes. So that's why he's in there. Hopefully, if Salah's assisting goals, it's for Jota to score them. And if Jota's assisting, it's for Salah to score them. So I'm hoping that Jota at £5 million less than Salah is my hope that Jota takes some points off Salah and gets them into my team. Bruno Fernandes, Højlund and Xerxes both start the season injured. Rashford is not a number 9. We've seen that countless times now. And towards the end of the season when Højlund was injured, Bruno Fernandes was kind of playing as the false 9. So that's my thoughts behind Bruno playing there. He's on corners, he's more or less on free kicks, and he's on penalties. So Bruno Fernandes with Fulham at home, game week 1, and I'm pretty sure they have a few decent fixtures after that as well. If Man United are going to get any goals this season, it's Bruno Fernandes is probably going to be involved, whether it's scoring them or creating them. So Bruno Fernandes is in my team. And the premium option, Bukayo Saka of Arsenal. Out of the entire Arsenal team, he's probably the one that gets the most goals and most points. I think he is always the highest scoring Arsenal player. But the only problem with Arsenal players is that they share the goals a lot. So Odegaard's always chipping in, Havertz chips in, Martinelli and Trossard chip in, even the centre-backs sometimes chip in. But out of all of them, Saka should be on penalties. I'm pretty sure he is on penalties. He takes corners sometimes, and the odd free kick I think he might take unless it's Odegaard, or Declan Rice I think's taken a few. But Saka, Wolves at home is a really good fixture to start the game off. Do I look at wildcarding him out in game week 5 potentially? I know that some people are thinking about wildcarding in game week 5 when Saka has to play City, and then taking him out for like Cole Palmer or Phil Foden or Son. But I'm pretty sure after City, Saka has like 3 of the promoted teams in a row. So I'm not sure why people are thinking that, because he has some good fixtures after that. It's the opening 5 that aren't fantastic for Arsenal. They play Tottenham, Man City and Aston Villa all away in their opening 5, which isn't great. But Saka's more of a long-term pick, obviously. But in terms of the other options at 10 million, Son is definitely an option that I'm going to look at. But Palmer, I don't think, if I'm planning on wildcard in 5 or 6, that Palmer, I'm going to get much out of him, because he might not start game week 1, and then he's not had a pre-season either to, get his fitness up. Then we've got Foden, who's not going to play the first 2 at least, I don't think. He might feature against Ipswich off the bench, but I don't think... I'm pretty sure Pep's made comments that he's not starting the first game and he might not start the second game. Kevin De Bruyne's another option to save 0.5 million. That makes an upgrade to Munoz Porro possible, or an upgrade to a 5 million keeper. That is an option. I'm just not sure how Kevin De Bruyne's going to start the season. And then, other than that, you've got potentially dropping down to an 8.5 like Martin Odegaard. But Saka's going to get more points than Odegaard, I think. So, yeah, that's the midfield. And as for the front line, if you haven't guessed already, Haaland is in the team with Alexander Isak. Probably the most popular front two in the game this year. I have had João Pedro multiple times, but with the midfield and how much I've spent in it and not really having that cheap enabler like a 4.5 or a 5, I just couldn't find a way to get João Pedro in. But I think that it's the dilemma of, does Smith Rowe get more points than João Pedro? And I think he does over the long term of the season, because João Pedro has always got that rotation risk of Evan Ferguson and Minter and Mitoma. They've got so many attacking players that João Pedro is always a minutes risk, and I don't think Smith Rowe is a minutes risk. So I'd rather have Smith Rowe and a 4.5 million attacker than Pedro and Winks, because I think Smith Rowe will get more points. It's Daniel Jefferson on the bench. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with him. Out of all of them, I'm pretty sure I'm just between three. I'm between Ross Stewart, Daniel Jefferson, and Fraser of Wolves. Because Wolves, I'm looking at their striker, Fraser, because Cunha's out with an injury. They've just lost Neto as well. So there's holes in the attack for someone like him to fill in. Jefferson, I don't think he's going to play, because there's rumours that Bournemouth are potentially looking to loan him out to a championship club. But if he does play, it's because Solanke's just left, but they might play Semenyo up front, who's obviously another 5.5 million option. And then the last one, Ross Stewart, was signed to potentially play up front last season in the Championship, but got a really bad injury. So he's likely to get minutes off the bench, but I don't think he's going to start. But out of all the 4.5 million options, I think Ross Stewart or Jefferson are probably the two that might get the most minutes. Jefferson, just because of coming off the bench potentially, with Solanke not there anymore, and Ross Stewart there because he's a decent striker. Haaland has the captain's armband because he scored a hat-trick against Chelsea in pre-season, and Chelsea in pre-season have looked really, really poor defensively. If I was going to change my captain, then it would probably be Saka or Isak. Saka at Wolves at home is a good fixture, especially Isak. Isak's probably definitely really pushing for the captaincy option. But if I'm spending 15 million on Haaland, it's a struggle not to captain him, because why he's 15 million, you've surely got to try and get the most points out of him as possible. But yeah, I'm liking this team. Obviously, some players that are missing out. There's no Arsenal defender. There's no Gvardiol. There's not really many City players at all. Just Haaland on his own. No Salah. If you're not having Salah for this run of games in the start of the season, I don't think you're going to have him at all. And I don't think I will go with Salah at all season. I think I'm happy with Jota. And if Jota doesn't get I don't get the most out of Jota in the first bit of the season, then once I wildcard, I can bring in whoever is starting out of Jota, Diaz, potentially Gakpo as well, and downgrade the midfielder to a 4.5 Winks, and then get Gakpo in attack. There's plenty of options I can go with. Bruno Fernandes, if United don't start well, can always be changed to an Anthony Gordon and save $1 million there. Can be changed to an Odegaard and then move Saka on for somebody else potentially. Downgrading Fernandes to a 6.5. No, I'd have to downgrade. I like West Ham players at the minute. West Ham have such a good squad now that Jarrod Bowen is in my thinking. Somerville's in my thinking and Fulcrum's in my thinking. But their opening 5 fixtures are quite tough. So I'm looking at West Ham players after the wild card. I'm not looking at bringing them in for the starting fixtures. Oscar Bob I'm looking at potentially as an option because he's looked promising in pre-season. He looks like he can play a bigger role off the right this season. Morgan Rogers, another player I'm looking at. Leon Bailey I've had a few times, but unless I take out Jota for Bailey, I can't see myself finding $1 million to upgrade Smith Rowe to Bailey. I can't see myself dropping Eze, Fernandes or Saka for Bailey. So I think it's Jota or Smith Rowe that would go to Bailey, but I don't think I can find the extra $1 million to do it from Smith Rowe to Bailey. But yeah, that's my team. The league code is on screen there, as you can see, to join the Fantasy League. And let's have some fun with FPL this year. This has been an absolute mindfuck this year for all the headaches we've had with selection. I can't remember a year that we've had this many different options of players to get in. So I'm hoping for a lot of unique teams this year. We've had Salah-only drafts, Haaland-only drafts, both of them in, neither of them in. So I'm hoping for some variety in teams this year. But yeah, thanks for watching. Enjoy Man United versus Fulham tonight. It's not tonight for me, but it's tonight for you. And yeah, I'm going to be doing more FPL. I'm going to at least do one FPL video a week where I say any changes I've done, show my team, and potentially do a rundown of my FPL league and see who's at the top of that, who's winning that. And we'll do like a manager of the week thing. But yeah, make sure to subscribe for the stuff like that. Make sure to like this video and leave down in the comments what you think of my team, what transfers you think I should make just before the deadline. And until next time, I'll see you later.